What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do just a little quick demo here of this type of thing. Now, these are like some of the thumbnails that I've done in the past. And you know, every single one of these thumbnails right here, I have actually done a big painting of. Like, they have turned into bigger paintings. I always start, and like I said, this is to help you get disciplined, that you become a stronger painter, that the works that you do, when you finish them, you're much happier with them, because what you've done is you've built a strong foundation in the beginning, and that's really the key. And so these help you start setting values. It really works in your composition. And even for me, sometimes I realize I don't want to paint this scene bigger. Because then after I worked on it a little bit, there was just like kind of the excitement, the inspiration for that one scene disappeared. So this has been a really great starting point, and it has really helped me with my work. So that's what I'm trying to encourage you to do. So typically I'll start with these small thumbnails. Sometimes I'll do some little, this is a little oil on just a piece of canvas scrap. But a lot of times I'll go from here up to like a 9x12 or an 8x10 before I go bigger. So I am going to do this cloud scene here. And it is just a photo. It's kind of blue, kind of intensely blue, but you know that that's a bubble jet blue. And then it's kind of coming through on the screen, really intense. It's not quite that much live here. I've done a pencil drawing here, and that is where I'm going to get started. So what I'm going to do, I typically will start when I'm painting or drawing. I typically start with my horizon. I like to just get things planted. So I'm going to jump in with one of the markers right off the bat, and I'm going to use the 80%. Typically, and these are what you're getting, I forgot to mention, the Prismacolor brush tip, and they are so wonderful because they're like a brush at the end. They're soft and kind of flexible, and they're double-ended, and at this end is more of a fine tip end. But I typically use the brush most of the time. So I've got some little trees down here in the base, and so, you know, how much time do you want to spend on these is really a personal preference. So you can make that decision yourself. If I'm in the studio, sometimes I like to spend a little more time on these and just put in a little detail. You know, obviously out plein air, it doesn't work. You just don't have the option or the time. And so I just start that. Now I sneak up on my darks. I could have started with a black here, but I always sneak up on my darks in the beginning just because I think it's a good idea. It works for me anyway to do that. And so then I'm going to jump down a value and just go to the 60%. There's a few trees in the distance here, and so I'm going to go just a little bit lighter, and all I'm doing is suggesting some shapes of something back there. What I want to do is I want to start with the shadow of the clouds, and I'm going to jump into about a 40%. Now on these clouds, you can see I picked a piece that's got some pretty dark shadows. So I focus in and I squint down and try to find where is the shadow shapes. So if you squint, you'll see the large shadow shape here, and it kind of runs up here, there, and up in here, and there's some through here. I want to try to save the white of my paper, and I do the same thought process when I'm painting clouds. I want to save the white of my paper, but I do want to get some shadows there. So I'm going to jump with the 40%. I'm careful with this in the beginning. I don't want to get too dark too soon. And so I'm going to just start blocking in the shadows of that. So I'm just kind of trying to squint down, and, you know, and I may not get it exactly perfect, but it's just going to give me an idea. Just kind of squinting. Thinking shape. This is the 40%. I just build maybe a little bit of that fluffy feeling. I mean, you can go overboard with some of that when you're doing your sketches, because again, this is a sketch, but I actually have a lot of fun doing these. And so I'll, you know, do a little bit of tweaking here and there, and I want to feel like this is the first step of exciting me about this scene. Like, I want to paint this bigger. So I'm thinking in my head, okay, what do I need to do to make it better, or to be more excited about it? You know, what is it that excites me about this scene? And so just by doing a little bit of some of this detail in there. And then I'm also going to use many times in my paintings, and when I'm looking out there, the same value can be fairly close on your distant mountain. So now I'm just going to run a line back here to suggest that distant mountain. All right. Now, you know, in your paintings, you can decide how much you want in shape. I have found if you want your distant mountain to stay back there and be further away, don't do too many loop-de-loops. You know, that's a technical term, loop-de-loops, right? Don't do too many of those. Don't get too many humps and bumps and everything, but keep it back there in the distance by just pretty horizon straight, not too much going on. So then once I do that, then I try to jump up there and let's just kind of establish the dark blue sky. Now, one thing I have found in teaching all the clouds workshops that I have been teaching lately is a lot of times people will try to do their sky too light. So what I'm jumping into is, this is 40% grayscale. Now I'm going to use a 60%, because if you took a value finder, you would see in this photo here that the sky is much darker than the cloud, much darker. But a lot of times people have this thought about the sky being lighter, and I think what we do when they're painting is they start painting what they're thinking instead of painting what they're actually seeing. All right, so what I'm saying is this is 40%. I'm going to jump up a darker value, and with the 60%, now is when I go in and I pay attention to this outside edge. I sculpt that cloud to my liking, and so depending on, you know, the picture and how much detail you want to put in, I'll just come around, and I'm trying to not get my hand in your way. Come around and start just sort of designing that outside edge. Now you might think, whoa, that looks dark. One thing with these markers, when they dry, they do lighten up. But I have a tendency in my paintings to push a little drama here. And so by pushing a little drama, I push them a little bit darker, a little bit more dramatic. Just remember, when you're painting your photos, it is about what mood you want. You're not married to the photo. I will push stuff. But now, coming back here, see how I'm kind of tweaking here? I can make some great shapes here along the top edge of this cloud. Now it's going to make my cloud pop. And what am I doing? I'm just searching for a feeling, a course, something to establish. All right, I like the way this is turning out. I'm going to turn this into a painting. This is going to work for me. And really, that's what this is about. Now, in this painting, there's a little bit of a sky hole here. So I'm going to go ahead and do it in the same value. But you know, when I paint it, maybe it would just be just a tad bit lighter value. But today I'm going to just go ahead and just draw this in the same dark value. Just suggest that little area of sky. And so then once I get that situated, then I know I look at it and I'm like, okay, I think that that is working pretty good. Now I might want to just jump back up with my 40% in my cloud now, and maybe I want to design a little bit more, you know, for some of like these other areas, just get a little bit more of some shadowing behind some of the puffies. Did I get 40%? Yes. See, it looks darker, but it will lighten up. But I was just checking to make sure I had done the right. I'm going to jump down here and show you how I put some little interesting buildings down in there here in just a second. Now, if you see an area like this area here is just, it's just a little bit darker cloud. Your shadows up higher get lighter because it's going up higher into the atmosphere and there's less cloud. I'm going to darken just a little bit of this area. So what am I'm just going right back over it ever so slightly. And the base of the cloud, I want it a little bit darker. Now, I mean, you can foo-foo this thing up all day long. It just depends on how long you want to go on it. So I'm going to jump down into what is the 20%, and I'm going to keep my horizon fairly light. Now, some horizons can go really dark if it's stormy and there's rain squalls or different things going on, but I'm just going to barely hit this with my 20% marker just to cover that, because I only want the white paper for the part of my clouds. So I'm going to let the horizon in there. And then I'm actually going to darken my distant mountain one more time too. I think I'll just take this, whoops, wrong end. I think I'll just take this just a hair darker. Give us just a little bit more to that distant mountain. And then I'm going to just take my 20% here on the ground. Here we go. Now, what about all the little buildings and the little detail and all that? So I do like to come in and do a little detail. I'm going to use the 40% marker and maybe just liven up a little bit of something back here a little further. And now for the buildings, this is what I do. Now in painting as well, I am very loose with this type of stuff. All these little buildings and sheds and little lean-tos and different stuff. This is some farmland out across, I think on the way to Montana somewhere. But all these little buildings, what I do is I come in here, and especially in these little drawings, I'm going to use the Micron fine point. And let's see if maybe I should bring you in just a little bit closer. Hopefully that doesn't go blurry on you guys. So I just come here and I just kind of put in some shapes, some little chicken scratch stuff. I am not thinking so much of the perspective of a building at this point. I'm just laying in some lines, just putting in stuff, depending on how much you want to do. You know, it's going to be totally your call of what you want. You know, I mean, you can have maybe some breaks in some areas, maybe don't go all the way across. Just some little scratches like that. And then I'm going to jump back up into the 60%. And I'm going to use, now on my 60%, I'm going to use the fine tip end. It's not really fine tip, but it is much finer than the other. And I'm going to pick some of those little spots. And looking at my photo, if you squint down, this might be too close now that I've zoomed up, but on the photo, if you squint down, you can see some dark spots. That's what I do. I just kind of look at my photo and think about, okay, I'm going to darken in some areas here. Maybe make it look like this buildings or little windows, or whatever you decide to do. I just do it very loosely. And then I'm going to come here and I'm just going to design a little bit more, maybe to these bushes. Just a little bit of interest. It's super loose. I just want to get an idea, you know, and you know, maybe I've got something just down here a little bit closer. There is in this piece. I wouldn't do a whole lot in the, there's like a fence in the very, very foreground, and you know, I wouldn't put that, but how much do you want to do is the question. You know, where do you want to take it? And so then that's when I step back and then I say, all right, I think I just want, because this is really about the clouds, right? So I think I'm just going to say one more hit. Let me get you guys back out a little bit here. I want to hit one more shadow. If you start doing this on a regular basis, I guarantee you it has to work. If you start doing this practice, this drawing, see I'm darkening that cloud, the base of this cloud. I want some more weight to it. So I'm just going to darken it. And I'm going to leave all that white as it is, because it just suggests that big puffy cloud. Just giving a little bit more dark to the base. There we go. Just like that. And then it's up to you. How much do you want to play here? Like if you wanted to have a little bit of a suggestion of something, you know, down here, you could even go so far, you know, if there's a field and you've got some stuff going on here, you could build a little bit. But I kind of like to keep those a little bit quieter and not get carried away. What I started to say was, I guarantee if you do this on a regular basis, you're going to see a big change in your painting ability. Let me tell you about this reference photo. So the cloud reference photo came from a group that I just joined, and it's share your photos to paint. And I fell in love with this reference photo, but the base, the bottom is different. So I actually took a landscape. Now I'm giving away my like big secrets here. I took a landscape from a different photo of mine when I was traveling and photoshopped it on the bottom of this cloud scene. We're going to sign off here, and thank you guys all for coming. I really appreciated it. It was fun. I hope it was useful for you. I hope that you learned. Remember, if you are watching the replay, you can still comment in the comment section. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box. I'll be back there and just, answering everything I can. What I want to do is get you guys drawing. This is my main goal, and I want to just get you encouraged, inspire you. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. Bye.